Hey, how's it going, everyone? So, today we're talking about The Fog from 1980. This is a John Carpenter film, and I love it. um, this film is everything I think you can really ask for if you want a California horror based film besides Scream. This film really, I don't know how to explain it. Like it encapsulates a specific or a specific type of town in California, and it's got such good like charm to it throughout the film, and I love it. So John Carpenter directed this film. I want to say, uh, no, he didn't write it. I think it's based off of a book or a novel of some kind. But yeah, Deborah Hill produced this film alongside John Carpenter. You may know that duo for 2 years prior in 1978 when they did Halloween. And I really enjoy the John Carpenter Deborah Hill duo when it comes to films because I feel like when they work together on films, their films are really well done. I feel like Deborah Hill has very, very good input towards how she wants to see these films being made. And also, she wants to get her, she wants to understand and know, like, I'm producing this film, so I want to make sure that I'm getting my return in this investment that I'm doing. So there's sort of that factor, but I really feel like it's 95% just passion and pride for the horror genre that sort of drives these two to make such good films. So The Fog, it's about a rolling fog that comes in to the town of Antonio Bay, and Stevie Wayne, played by Adrian Barbeau, is a radio host at a lighthouse. I believe it has to be the furthest sort of point into the ocean. So she's sort of their unknowingly warning sign for the fog. And the fog contains a group of dead sailors, fishermen. I can't quite remember. I believe it's dead sailors from 100 years to the day prior, and they're basically coming back for something that they want that's in the town of Antonio Bay, and they're wreaking havoc on the locals. So it stars Adrian Barbeau, Jamie Lee Curtis, Tom Atkins, Janet Lee, and I'm blanking on the other girl's name. She was the friend of Lori in Halloween. Yeah, I'm blanking on her name right now. Yeah, so one thing about this film, after sort of reading the cast off, is Adrian Barbeau is your main lead, not Jamie Lee Curtis. I believe for as long as you could really think of in film, when it comes to posters and stuff like that, they're typically going to put somebody who during that time is well known. So even though Adrienne Barbeau is a well known actress, Jamie Lee Curtis was the hot uh, topic and hot actress of that time in 1980. So they put her on the poster. And I mean, honestly, great poster too. But yeah, the pacing of this film, I feel like is just right. I feel like there's times where, for a split second, you think about it like, maybe this scene's going on a little bit too long, and then it wraps itself up within a minute of sort of thinking about that, uh, like thing that's happening. Um, the acting is well done. I feel like the Tom Atkins, Jamie Lee Curtis sort of exchange was a little abrupt from them going to him picking her up as a hitchhiker, and then you cut scenes back to Stevie Wayne at the radio station and sort of what she's up to, and then once you pop back again at nighttime to Jamie Lee Curtis and Tom Atkins, they're laying in bed together, and Jamie Lee is what looks to be half naked. So it really like jumps a little bit, and I think it might have to do with they're trying to flesh out Jamie Lee Curtis's character a little bit more. So I think they're showing that she's rebellious and she doesn't necessarily care that she's in bed with this man that she just met a few hours prior. So I think that's sort of what they're going for. Janet Leigh, I feel like does a great job in this film. With her being the I don't even know exactly what she is. She seems like she's sort of the town's organizer for events and stuff like that, because this is Antonio Bay is it's a small community. I mean, it looks like it's a community of maybe like 1,000 people or less than that. It could be under 500 even. And so you only really need one organizer for a town of that size. So I thought she played that character very well, and I appreciate that they didn't, because they could have made her sort of annoying and sort of like maybe have like a disdain towards her, but they don't really do that. They sort of there's maybe like a couple times where you can tell like, oh, she's got a little bit more money than everyone else in town, but she's not being an asshole about the fact that she has more money than other people. And it could just be that she likes dressing nice and doing stuff for events, but who knows? But yeah, solid film. It's a 5 out of 5 for me because it is, I would honestly say, sort of one of John Carpenter's underrated films that he's directed. Um, because and I think it just has to do with like if you ask somebody have they seen The Fog, I feel like it's more they can picture the poster and be able to kind of go off of that. And so it's really hard to say how, like in quotes, underrated this film really is. But I think it's underrated because if you ask a person, name like 3 John Carpenter films, they're probably gonna name Halloween, The Thing, and They Live, maybe Plan 9, Escape from New York. But it's one of those things where John Carpenter, like, his filmography is in the horror genre for the most part, but then it sort of skews into other genres as well. And I'm not saying like John Carpenter himself and his filmography is all over the place, but I think his movie titles, when you read them, they seem like they should be, in different categories. Like They Live could sound more like a thriller versus a horror film, but that's John Carpenter's filmography. One last thing, and I think this is for all of his films, but I really like that John Carpenter does the scores for his films because I like his style. I like that he's using synthesizers very heavily in his scores. The They Live, because I watched They Live yesterday, and the score in that he did, and I like that score a lot because It's catchy enough, but it's not annoying, and it's got sort of that cowboy, like out of place, rural kind of feel, which is different for what he's usually known for doing, which is a little, more synthesizer heavy. But yeah, this film is, I would say, a must watch, especially if you're going through John Carpenter's filmography. You have to see The Fog for sure. So yeah, 5 stars, one of his better movies, 100%.